Fast forward to about later that night. Now the text messages start rolling in. Bro, I kid you not, that night I got about like 70 plus text messages from her, like dozens of phone calls. I think even emails too. Yeah, even emails. What's good, y'all? What's good? What's good? What's good? Thank you for coming back, checking out another video. Got my cash flow hat on. I got this almost 4 years ago, actually. 4 years ago this month. Crazy. In 2020. Crazy year. Which we're going to talk about, surprisingly. Today, some events that transpired that year. And yeah. So y'all see the title of the video. It's true. It does happen to some of us, and it's more than likely your fault. It's more than likely your fault. Today might be a little longer video. I might split it up, but we'll get into that. So there's two stories that I have when I think about this topic that I want to share today. And I'm sharing this. I mean, I've really only told my parents about this. They're really the main ones that know the details. So it's the first time it's coming out in public 4 years later. But I feel like it's important for some guys to know the signs, how to navigate through it, what you should be doing. So I was in a relationship at that time. Started in the end of 2019. And went into the new year in 2020, right before COVID started. I moved in with this person. I just felt like this was it. This was the person, whatever, you know how it be. And like to this day, I still can't figure out if these were like genuine actions or if I was just being manipulated the entire time. I really don't know to this day. But lots of actions, lots of loving, I guess you could say, gifts, like just everything that makes you feel like good as a person, good as an individual, as a man. And like you have a solid person, you want to value that person, you want to show and reciprocate that same thing back. But anyways, after just like 2 months, 3 months, I moved in with this person. Mistake number one. Should never be moving in with a woman. You should have your own place, or they're moving in with you. But that's another story. And it was like interesting. It was a new chapter. And I guess like the honeymoon phase, he's super excited. I really thought this person was my person. And things were gonna go great. And they were those first couple of weeks. Then we get to this first incident that happens. It wasn't even a month of me being there. And we're having an argument. about something. I don't even remember at this point, but we're having an argument, and all of a sudden it was like, oh, get the fuck out of my house, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, damn, who is this? Like, this is crazy to me because I've never heard that before from anybody or from her. And just a few weeks before, like when I first moved in, like super welcoming, super courteous, and like a lot of hospitality, welcoming me into the house. And just, my house is your house, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, okay, you get mad and you're upset, and this is your first reaction. This is what you do and how you react when you're upset. I could understand yelling. I could understand, not wanting to talk or being frustrated, but kicking somebody out of the house that just moved in there and lives there, it's crazy. And at that time, I still had a little common sense. I still had some sense. I still had some respect for myself, some dignity. And, I just, as soon as some nonsense would come up, I would just leave. With any situation, like I wouldn't stay there. I wouldn't continue on with that situation. So as soon as she said that, and I'm like, wow, like this is really how we acting. Okay. So I start packing up all of my stuff, and I'm getting ready to leave because I'm like, well, I'm definitely not staying with somebody that's being like that. Mind you, COVID just started. So this was interesting. COVID had just started, and the whole reason I had moved in to begin with was because of one, how the relationship was going to start, but two, I had like a little quarrel, disagreement with my parents at the time. So I wasn't really talking to them for a little bit, but yeah, at the time, I didn't really have anywhere else to go. I wasn't planning for things to go like that after being with this person, just staying with this person for about a month. So I was just like, well, whatever. Like I had a little money. I was just gonna book an Airbnb. I booked an Airbnb for a few nights, and I was just gonna do it like that. But as soon as she sees me packing my stuff and like actually leaving, her entire attitude changes, her entire demeanor changes. Now all of a sudden, it's, oh wait, no, I'm sorry, like I didn't mean that. I just wanted to try and fix this, and that's not what I really meant. I was just upset, blah blah blah. But again, at this point, I still had some sense left in me. This is early in the relationship, and I was like, no, like, how you talk to somebody like that? Like, I'm going. So I continue packing my stuff, putting it in the car. That's the way I came in, packed everything in my car. That was the way I was gonna go. I've always been a person just to keep like the stuff that I actually need and minimize a bunch of garbage. So it went from mad and telling me to get out her house to calm, and now I want to talk. Now I want to have some decency and try and communicate like a normal adult, to back to mad, but acting like a wild animal. So when she saw like I was really leaving again, she switched back to that mode. And then I'm in the closet now, grabbing my stuff, the hangers, my shoes, whatever were closed, to go put in my car. She stands in the closet doorway like this, like a starfish, and refuses to let me out. So I'm like, excuse me. I said that, man, I don't even know how many times. Excuse me. Like, I'm leaving. Like, I'm not doing this. I'm not playing these games. Like, move. Refuse to move. Then it starts getting physical. Like, you asked me to leave. I'm leaving. But now you're getting physical because I'm leaving. How does that make sense? There was no punches or anything like that, but it was like pushing me as I'm trying to get out, like refusing to let me leave, holding me against my will. If I had did that, just knocked her out the way, obviously I could have, I would have been in the wrong. I would have been in jail. So I kind of have no choice but to like deal with it until I can get a way out. Otherwise, it's trouble for me. Eventually, I get out. The closet is like a mess now from the tussling and trying to get out. And now she gets to like another level. She starts taking my hangers, throwing them at me, literally like they're ricocheting off the wall, off the doors. There's broken hangers on the floor. Like, it's just getting crazy. And by this time, I'm finishing up with the closet, grabbing my stuff from the closet, from the bathroom, from my side of the room and my side of the bed. Then I start going to the kitchen, and I'm grabbing my stuff there, and she's getting more and more frustrated. At that time, the way we got in and out through the house, the majority of the time, was through the garage and the side garage door. So I was going through there. Next thing you know, like, again, I'm leaving exactly what you asked me to do. Next thing you know, she's closing the garage door over my head. Again, trying to like trap me and keep me inside of the house. Closing the garage door over my head. I'm fighting with the garage door to keep it open. And it's like this back and forth thing. As I'm leaving, she'll close it. Or if I'm right underneath the garage door, she's closing it over my head. And it was like just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Eventually, back and forth, like I got everything out of the kitchen, out of my room, and I just jam-packed my car. And I was just like, I don't even think I was processing it yet at that point. It was much later on that night and the next day where I was like, what the hell just happened? Like, what is going on? But after I finally got about everything out, then she did this one last thing. It was a seasoning that I had, and I guess it fell while I was going back and forth between my car and the house. I'm in my car about to pull out the driveway. She comes out again. She grabs the seasoning. She throws it and tries to bash my windshield. um on the driver's side open. And I'm just like, bro, what in the world? Like I moved in there March 8th. This was April 1st or 2nd. So it literally hasn't even been a month yet. And like our first, I guess, major fight, and this is how it turns out. And I'm like, bro, this is crazy. And the whole time there's like yelling and yelling and yelling and just craziness. I was like, yeah, I'm not doing it. In that moment, at that time, I said, yeah, I'm not doing this again. I'm never gonna be back here again. The house key that she gave me, I took it, I threw it in the lawn as I'm driving away, and I headed to a different city, or the next town over, and where I booked the Airbnb for a few days while I figure out what I'm gonna do. And not even 2 hours after I left, starts blowing up my phone. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. It was because I was mad, I didn't really mean it. You know, please come back. Now she's worried about my safety. Now she's worried about COVID. Like, you didn't give a damn about any of that when you were telling me to get the fuck out of your house, but now all of a sudden you care about that. And I ignore her, and like, I just wanted to take some time to myself and like figure it out. I remember I parked at a park for like an hour because my Airbnb, I wasn't gonna be able to check into it until like 3 or 4. So I'm sitting at the park with all of my stuff in my car, and I'm just thinking, like, what the hell just happened? Like, what is going on? Anyways, fast forward to about later that night. Now the text messages start rolling in. Bro, I kid you not, that night, I got about like 70 plus text messages from her, like dozens of phone calls. I think even emails too, yeah. Even emails too, like, just like craziness. And like, I'm not a gullible person, but I give everybody the benefit of the doubt. I understand people make mistakes. I understand, sometimes people are having bad days. But that wasn't any of that. Like, that was next level craziness, you know? That was next level, probably, manipulation and mental issues. So, of course, like, I'm reading the messages, all these apologies, all of these promises and like explanations. And I'm starting to feel bad. Because again, I really cared about this person. I really thought, she was special, she was the one, or whatever. And as I'm reading it, like, I'm starting to feel like it was a mistake, or I start kind of shifting the blame on me, like, maybe I could have done something better. Maybe this, maybe that. But in reality, like, there's no excuse. Even if there was something you did, there's no excuse to treat somebody like that. Not at that level. there's no excuse to be trying to damage property, you know, holding somebody against their will. Like, there's no excuse for any of that. Even if the other person did do something, you know? And I stayed at the Airbnb for like 2 days. And on both days, like, dozens of calls, dozens of messages. And like, this is where like, this is where the self-respect for myself was lacking. And this is where I feel like the manipulation and the taking advantage was coming in. Because now I'm starting to be like, okay, like, let's give this another chance. Let's try this again. And one thing about women that I've learned is you let something slide one time and you give them a chance to do it again, they're gonna do it again. They're gonna do it again. 9 times out of 10. So if you don't cut it and snip it from the jump, expect it to happen again. Expect for it to happen again. And 2 days later, you know, I'm thinking like maybe she learned. Like, another thing I forgot to mention, she was 12 years older than me, but I'm thinking like, okay, maybe like she's learned like this behavior is not acceptable. Maybe she learned like, okay, like I need to be an adult now and not act this way. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try this again. And I go back and we try this again. And a big reason why I kept doing stuff like that is because that's just how it was with everything. Like, everything that was important to me or is important to me still now, or that I value, like, I just don't give up in, you know, in the gym, with finances, with business, you know, whatever it is, I don't give up in it. I keep trying 1,000,000 times. So my mindset was the same thing with relationships. And honestly, at the time, I knew it felt strange and it was strange behavior, but I didn't know that that wasn't a healthy relationship, or that was abuse, or that was manipulation, or whatever you want to call it. I didn't really realize that at the time. But in any event, just like with everything else, I wanted to keep trying. I was going to keep trying. And eventually, you know, we'll get there. Like, it would be ideal and you'll get the goal. So that was like that. That was the first instant. That was the first time. Like, I was like, wow, like, this is crazy.